Alrighty, here I go again. Mailman just keeps showing up again and again and again. So now this one says VOSTEED, and it says VOSTEED ANKYLO A 1907 154 cm black stonewashed blade, green aluminum handles. And this was bought used. I can't afford to buy all this stuff new because these are super expensive. Now, this is the most hyped up package that I have seen. This has definitely got every other knife that I've opened beat. This is an aluminum or tin case, and it is a kind of that feltish outside type paint. I can't explain it, but it's kind of a felt. Their logo is screen printed, and that is a very thick screen printing. That is nice, very, very nice. And then you have the pouch. You have a card explaining to you how the lock works, the internals, I guess to convince you not to take it apart, which I'm not. VOSTEED patented Vanker system kind of explains a little bit about that. You've got a Velcro patch and a sticky patch. Open the joy. Oh, swish. Open the joy. I like that. And we got swish. Open the joy, a Velcro patch. And you've got a little VOSTEED tiny patch on the Velcro case, which is nice. Very nice. And then, of course, you have a little dealy bob up in here to wipe the knife off. So that's all nice. Very, very nice. The pouch is kind of a cross. Well, it's a little smaller than the Civivi pouches, but it's got the right to be with that kind of aluminum packaging and all of that. This padded, it's a really nice pouch. Very nice pouch, definitely. So I'm going to leave that right there. I'm going to set this right here. And so here's the knife. So this is the pocket clip side, obviously. And these are kind of a frag grenade hatch pattern that's on here. You've got 3 T8. You know what? Let me check something. Yep, T8. That's nothing. T6. Okay, so you've got T6 on the pocket clip, which is reversible. You've got a insert, which I love that, with T6 screws holding it in, and then you've got the pocket clip on the other side with T6 screw or T8 screws holding both of these, actually, by the way. An opening to get to them. The pocket clip is a medium heavy. It's got the little VOSTEED logo. There's a little bit of wear on the pocket clip right here. This is a used knife, but it really doesn't show it a lot, to be honest with you. You've got a lanyard loop in here. It's a barrel that goes really all the way through, and I like when they do that. And you've got 2 right here, which is, I think that's going to be a reverse blade stop. So let's get on to the, and these got huge bearings in them, and that's why I think this knife right here, the blade is so stable even though it's got bearings. So what's kind of cool about this knife is you can see you have a back flipper. That does not appear to be very much of a stud, but I did carry this today, and that is more than enough to flip the knife. Very easy. Swings all day long with the lock. It's got a front flipper on it, And of course you've got this cutout right here for thumb flicking and reverse flicking. And of course you can open it with the lock here. So that gives you 1, 2, 3, 4 ways of opening and closing this knife reliably, in my opinion. But we'll start in from the back forwards. And that is very nice, very easy, very smooth. It just opens well. You can see that there's no scarring on that blade, just some discoloration. It has been cut with, I can tell, but you know, that is a little bit of a burr back here, but that's hair cut and sharp. It hasn't been hurt whatsoever. You can see there's a couple of lines crossing on the very tip, so it's done a little bit of tip cutting, not a whole lot. And so we'll go to the forward, which is easy to open, and then thumb flick, and then the reverse flick. The reverse flick. And of course then you have just the locking mechanism, which you can use just fine. Then you see my problem with the knife. So this knife, in my opinion, desperately needs the magnet mod. I don't see a way of putting magnets on each side of the scale. But this blade is so rock solid and stable, I don't think it really has to have that. I mean, the blade is perfectly centered in there, and I can pull it to the side, but as rock solid as that is, no magnet's going to pull that blade over. It's smooth as silk coming out. It feels extremely nice. This right here, I have noticed that if you push it, now let me try to see if I can. So let me just put this flat knife here so that it's pushed flat against the deal. See, it starts to move loose. You can actually, you've broken the detent. It's strictly the detent holding it in place. And that is that button. You can see that it's barely stuck out. So potentially, I mean, easily I can grip it too high and my thumb will get in there and that blade will fold. So you have to be very careful right-handed holding this knife. Now left-handed, I think it's better because it is very hard to push that in far enough to break the lock on it, or to activate the lock or deactivate the lock on it using it left-handed. So right-handed, you need to be aware, or to get that thumb on top and keep it off of the side over here, because you will unlock this knife. I love the finger jimping. It is far enough forward that I can catch it in here, and I've got finger jimping back here to get into, and I can reach forward at that finger choil, and I've still got jimping up here on the blade to get into. My thumb locks in very well. You've got a large finger choil. My big old pudgy fingers can fit in there. Yours can too, which is also leaves room for days of sharpening. So the blade, it's a very thick, heavy filling blade to me. Flat grind. You know, I'm just drawn to knives with flat grinds. It's got a little bit of interestingness to it. Let me show you what we've got. Let me show you its features. Okay, Joe. Don't get mad at me. I'm not making fun of you. I really love you, guy. So I love the way you've got this long bevel. It's very, very high. It comes way up here. Then there's a flat on the side of the knife, and then you have a secondary bevel on the top up here. And so you can see how the blade comes to a point on the top. I like the way that looks. That just gives the blade lines that I enjoy, that I think looks nice. It does. This comes straight off the spine and it drops right in here. Then it drops again on this point right here, which is going to be a reverse tanto. And this is kind of like the VOSTEED Hogue Deca, only it's a full belly and not just a double or a multi. What am I trying to think of here? It's not a multi-angle, if that makes any sense. The tip, you can see you can see right there at the point or the midpoint, or just down below the drop, that how wide the blade is, and it comes to a pretty long, but I think a very strong and stable point. So I think this is made to penetrate. So that's a good feature as far as I'm concerned. It's not what I call a jugger because it doesn't have, I don't think it's going to get the penetration naturally as what I call a jugger is. A jugger to me is something that is a longer, a slenderer type blade, very pointy, which this is very pointy. It meets that criteria. But a lot of knives I'll call them juggers, but really it's for getting in a deep penetration. That's what a jugger is. A lot of us call them pig stickers, and I'm not even going to explain what that means. But at the same time, ask me in the comments. I'll explain in the comments. But anyway, it's too gruesome to go on the video. But still in all, I like the blade. I do. I like the blade, and I think that it is. I mean, you can do some jugging, but it's not going to be. It ain't going to be a true jugger. Let's put it that way. I like the scales. I like the way they look. When I first grabbed this knife, I was like, man, that's got to be titanium. There's no way that can be aluminum. That's just way too heavy. And I realized that you've got some liners in here. This is very, very solid aluminum. There's some cut out for weight, but there's not a lot. But there's a lot of steel inside this frame that makes up this entire mechanism. This whole center section right here, that's all steel, and that penetrates all the way through. And this lock is kind of like it's kind of weird. Well, it shows it right here. This piece up along the back here. That's actually flipping into a groove. If you look on the back of the blade, you see that groove in there. Well, that's where it locks up. Well, there's kind of a shaft that goes down through here that when this pivots around to the back, it pops up in place. And this button pops up. You'll see it pop up. I'll just kind of hold it at an angle. Maybe you'll see it. So that locks it into place. And so when you push that down ever so far, it actually starts releasing the detent, and then it pops loose. And then you have an actual, I believe it's a ball detent. I don't know if it's a ceramic ball, but it's a ball detent in there on that is actually working on that. So it works like a liner lock, but is a button activated, central located liner lock type knife. And it is, of course, I guess you can see that it's just flippy floppy when you hold that button in. But the only problem that I have with this knife is it doesn't want to stay closed. I have to wait and then release. I have to remember to hold that button longer until it stops movement. Because I do this and I end up having to do that. I end up with that a lot to where it's slightly open, and I just pop it and close it back the rest of the way. And it's held in just fine. But that, in my opinion, is due to this. So watch the detent. See there? It is like it's within a quarter of an inch, more like an eighth, just over an eighth of an inch, to all the way closed before it ever sucks it in. So it's got very little detent. So when you're thumb flicking it, you have to do it with authority. You can't just see. I can't even do it now. I've got to hold the knife so I can just throw my thumb out there. So it doesn't open very well for me with my little short thumbs using the thumb. The finger, it opens fine, but I got to catch it at the top. If I catch it down at the bottom, I've got to really flick it. If I catch it at the top, I don't have a problem, and I can get it open easy. So this knife opens better for me doing the reverse flick, the regular finger flick, and I have zero issues opening it using the front. The front flipper feature works just fine. I have no problems. And so chances are, usually the way I'm going to, in a hurry, would do that more times than not, or that right there. And if I got time to think about it, then I'd just be reverse flicking it. Now you can still open it just fine because you got enough weight to the blade that you can throw it out there. But again, you see that every time I'm trying to close it, I'm having to grab it to finish it up like that. I can't catch it. I can't catch it and get the detent to suck it in. I mean, that's just me every single time. I am catching it. Now, I managed to do it that time, but I just by instinct grabbed it anyway. There, closed it that time. See, almost. Still, almost. Almost. So, I'm not sure if the magnet mod would do good on this knife. See, your blade extends. Your blade does extend to right about here in that belly. So I think I've got enough to potentially put, I could probably fit a small magnet in this side of the scale over here, and there's just no place to put, let's see. Yeah, I do. Okay. So I could probably right up in here, I could get a magnet in both sides of the scale. I definitely recommend, if you can, to not just put a magnet on one side, because if the blade has any flex, the magnets will tend to pull it that away. But this blade right here is so thick and heavy, and it's so well held, that I don't believe that you would have a problem with that. Now these are T8s, or T6, yeah, T6s in here, and this is how you would set, which that right there is just wore out. Well, I hate sticking this T6 in this one right here because it's so hard for me to get it out. I think I'm just going to reverse these and have my T8 in this one. So that's pretty hard. Yeah. So that's pretty doggone tight. So I'm pretty sure that's Loctited. I don't think this has been opened. I do not believe this knife has been opened. So I'm very, very much leaning towards trying to figure out how I will do a magnet mod on this to help that blade close, because I mean, that's something that will make me not want to carry this. And I love everything about this knife, except for the fact that the detent is so shallow that I can't get the hang of closing it. There we go. And that very seldom happens, because the timing's got to be perfectly right that you release it as it's closing, or otherwise it's bouncing back. See, and it's just impossible. Hold on. Okay, so it's just impossible to get that timing perfect. I haven't watched a bunch of people review this knife, so I don't know if they have the same problems, if it's just mine, or what. But I know that this could probably benefit from a magnet mod to get that blade a little more detent to suck in. the light detent, I mean, it holds it good, so it's got a decent detent. It's just it doesn't engage until so far closed. It is almost completely closed by the time the detent engages. And so it's all but impossible for me to get the timing. It's either too soon or it's too late. See? And see, that is just barely open. So it's almost impossible for me to get the timing right. I'll have to fiddle with it more to see if I can figure out if I can. But if I can't, I'm taking this knife down and I'm doing some kind of a magnet mod potentially to get this knife to close more reliably. And what I may do, I don't know, because the blade's heavy. And I'm really thinking that I get a magnet back here, or actually, you know, I don't think I necessarily have to get that. I think with a combination of just getting magnets in place that will contact the blade or will draw on the blade reliably, and I can see some spots it looks like on both sides. Maybe have to use smaller magnets. I don't know, but even, you know, the point of the magnet mod is to suck the blade in, but at the same time, I'm afraid that the magnet mod will not be so much, because you can't get the magnets in a really good spot, in my opinion. And so even if it doesn't suck the blade in, I'm thinking that my timing would be a little better, because even we're releasing this, the magnets will want to hold that blade in place with just a split second, giving me enough time to get off that button to reliably close it. And that's the only thing I've got against this knife. I love this knife in every other way. It's smooth. The blade is tight, hard, in place. It doesn't wiggle, jiggle, or otherwise. When it's open, you got finger jimping down here, on top, everywhere you need it. Everything, the fit, the finish, the feel, everything. The clip is not, you know, angled back down again, but I don't feel it in my hand. I don't have issues with it in my hand. So I feel like this knife right here is awesome in every way. I believe that this knife right here, the only change that needs to be made to it is that detent worked on so that blade more reliably closes for those amateurs like me that close knives. So anyway, that's all I got on this. I've rambled enough, and I thank you and appreciate you for being here. If you like this kind of content, I would ask that you would like and subscribe. If you don't, I would ask that you would subscribe at least, because you will find something that you like eventually. I enjoy spending time with you, and I will see you next time. Your time is very important to me, and I thank you for spending it here with me. Thanks, and God bless.